Welcome to Worth Your Time with your hosts from the nationally syndicated Bob and Tom Show, Kristi Lee, and the president and CEO of the Indianapolis Zoo, Dr. Rob Shumaker. Our mission to inform, entertain, and educate with guests from all aspects of life. We guarantee there isn't another podcast that features two hosts with such different backgrounds and discussions with remarkable people doing exceptional things. So let's get started. Here are your hosts, Kristi Lee and Dr. Rob Shumaker.
Hi, everybody. Kristi Lee along with Dr. Rob Shumaker, and we welcome you to With Your Time. How are you, Dr. Rob?
Kristi, I'm great and extremely excited about our guests that you're going to talk about just a little bit.
Yes, I am too, because sadly I wasn't able to be a part of this conversation.
That was sad. We missed you.
And yet you do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
You could do this without me.
I'm going to tell you what. First of all, I take that as a big compliment because, you know, you're a national treasure.
Oh, please.
And come on now. Come on now.
Okay.
And secondly, we always need you. Don't say that.
Oh.
But once in a while, it doesn't work out.
Right.
To have you there. So you were great. And this was an interesting one because we had a tiny little narrow window to get this, and his name, Mwezi Badru Mugerwa. He's
Mwezi?
Mwezi, and Mwezi, Mwezi.
Mwezi.
And a wonderful Ugandan conservationist, and he was available for a really narrow window, and it was either get him or don't.
And we had to get him.
And we had to get him.
Yes.
He's too good not to miss. So you talk about him.
Yeah, because Mwezi was the winner this year of the 2025 Indianapolis Prize Emerging Conservationist Award. And I was in his presence during the award gala and was so blown away by his, first of all, his smile and his wife. And they are just
great.
The sweetest people, and wanted so badly to spend more time with him, but obviously in that situation and in that setting wasn't able to. But you got the honor. And this conversation is just so incredible. His passion for the African golden cat, do I have that correct?
Perfect.
Is beyond amazing. A cat he has never seen the complete animal
Right.
in the wild in 15 years.
It's amazing.
Talk about perseverance. I would have given up.
Well,
be honest.
I'll tell you, that's, of course, you know, you're talking about the Emerging Conservationist Award, which I'm so proud of, and he is only the second winner of that part of the Indianapolis Prize Gala. And the whole idea is to find remarkable young conservationists. They have to be no older than 40 when they apply. And the idea is to find them, give them the recognition that they deserve, give them the exposure that they deserve, and hopefully give them that kind of a legitimate, authentic boost so that they can propel forward, because it is a hard profession. Not just the kind of dedication that you talk about and the kind of passion, but funding and grants and so on. It's hard to come by. And Mwezi, I think, in many ways, has been working in obscurity. He is not a household name, that's for sure.
Right.
And we would love to change that.
Yes, and this episode you're about to hear, the first episode, he goes into what a big change it was for him. He was a biology major. His parents wanted him to be a doctor. He was, a city boy on track to do something amazing, probably in the medical field, had he not gotten into this internship and found his passion and moved out into the bush, basically.
Oh,
and he has an amazing story about that. And if you're not opposed to it, I'd like to jump right in and hear from Mwezi himself. I believe you get to talk to him first.
I'll tell you what, he's worth your time.
My incredible pleasure today to be talking to Mwezi Badru Mugerwa, the 2025 Indianapolis Prize Emerging Conservationist. Mwezi, it's so good to have you here. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here at the Indianapolis Zoo, but also having spent the past 10 days with the team here, the team both from the zoo and so the team from the prize. It's such a huge honor for us to be here. Thank you.
Totally our pleasure. Wait, you were born in Kampala, Uganda, and for listeners that may not be familiar, can you just talk a little bit about geographically where Uganda is and the nearest countries to Uganda?
Yeah, you're right. I was born and raised in Kampala, which is the capital of Uganda. So Uganda is a relatively small country found in East Africa, in the East African part of the continent of Africa. Uganda has neighbors to the north is South Sudan. To the west, it is the Democratic Republic of Congo. To the east is Kenya. To the south, it's Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi. It's a landlocked country, so we're not anywhere close to the sea. It's our neighbors, Tanzania and Kenya, that have access to the Indian Ocean. So we're in that eastern part of Africa.
So Uganda, I've been so fortunate to visit there several times.
Yeah.
What an incredible, beautiful country.
Yeah.
And I think maybe people don't know much about Uganda. We're going to learn a lot more today, including about the wildlife and conservation of wildlife there. Mm-hmm. But to start, what is it that compelled you or made you want to be a conservationist? That is a bold choice for anybody. But I imagine, and help me if I'm wrong, please tell me, it seems like an even bolder choice for someone born in Kampala growing up in Uganda. Is it?
Yeah, no, it is. I think growing up, I've always drawn to the natural side of things, to the wild side of things. I've always been fascinated by nature around me, just the diversity and the variety of life that surrounds us, surrounds our homes. You know, you look at birds, for instance, they come in different sizes, different shapes, different colors, they make different sounds. The same applies to flowers, the same applies to plants, the same applies to all these things around us. And I think like that curiosity to understand, like all this variety around us, I think that was quite a big draw to me into conservation. And coming to conservation, I came in as a biologist because I think out of curiosity to kind of understand, what we have around us. And the more I learned about the fascinating biology of our planet, of our environment, the more I learned about the challenges we are facing to make sure that variety continues. That we continue seeing these birds in all forms, colors, shape, and sound. We continue to see these plants. So putting the two together, the curiosity and the understanding and awareness that very soon this variety would be non-existent no more because we've driven it to extinction, I think drew me closer to join a community that was working tirelessly to make sure that nature thrives and all the species we love continue to live through mitigating some of the human activities and human dangers we pose onto nature.
So I think it's so interesting that you talk about birds and plant life and so on, because that's not what you focus on.
Yeah.
You focus on a remarkable species called the African golden cat. And I know that it is unknown to most people. Mm-hmm. And what I've learned from you, unknown to you before you started working with it.
Absolutely.
So how did you get exposed to African golden cats, and how did that start to influence your focus on conservation work and your career?
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So
that's a lot of questions.
Yeah. There are so many questions in that question.
I'll start over. How about it's because you have such an incredible story. How about talk about the African golden cat? How did you first learn about the African golden cat?
Okay. That's a story that goes way back to 2010. I had just finished university. I had my bachelor's training at Makerere University, which is Uganda's largest public university. So at that university, I studied forestry, or Bachelor of Science in Forestry, which was a 4-year program. So I finished this program in May 2008, and there was an advert for a student internship to move to Bwindi Impenetrable National Park in southwestern Uganda. So I quickly signed up for this internship. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I was just excited to go into a forest because that's what I was trained to do. Yeah, so I signed up for this internship, and then the next day I jump on a bus, 12 hours, from Kampala to Bwindi at that time. So the roads you may have seen when you visit Uganda at that time were not existing.
Yes.
It was a long, painful journey.
Maybe not such a long distance, but a long time to get there.
Exactly.
Right,
so I mean,
right.
like in terms of distance, it's like maybe 500 or so kilometers. I don't know how that
250 miles.
Miles,
Yeah,
exactly.
200 or so miles.
Exactly. But at that time, the roads were non-existent. So it meant that you spent lots of hours on a bus. And I vividly remember we left Kampala very early in the morning. It was around 7 a.m. So we caught the first bus, heading to Bwindi. So I arrived there, jumped on the bus, and then we were off. And we go to Bwindi. I was with 2 other colleagues of mine. We go to Bwindi at around 9 p.m. So from 7 to 9 p.m. And to be honest, I've never seen anything beautiful in my life. Like that landscape blew my mind. The sounds, the hills, the mist on top of the forest.
It's a beautiful place.
All sorts of sounds from birds, from insects, from frogs, from chimpanzees. It was how do you call it? An orchestra of different sounds, but sounds of nature.
An orchestra of different sounds. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
And
what a description.
I know, and I say like I'm not leaving this place. I'm not going anywhere. But what was challenging at that time, being born and raised in Kampala, we had access to electricity, access to internet, access to good roads.
You were a city boy growing up.
I'm a city boy, exactly. And then all of a sudden, I am in one of the remotest parts of the country, whereby the only light you could see was light from the stars and the moon, and the only sounds you could hear, the sounds from the forests. There was no running water, there was no internet, there was no electricity.
It sounds like heaven.
It would, it was. Even at that young age, I was like, I'm so honored to be here, like I'm not going anywhere. So anyways, I did around 12 months as an intern on some of the projects that were ongoing in the national park.
So what were you doing? Because I think Bwindi, if someone knows about Bwindi, maybe they know it because there are mountain gorillas.
The mountain gorillas, yeah.
But what were you doing while you were there?
Moving to Bwindi, the institution, it's actually a biological field station that's based in Bwindi. It's called the Institute for Tropical Forest Conservation, ITFC as we call it. It's based on the edge of Bwindi National Park. It was established back in 1986. So when I was brought there to support a PhD program that was happening at that time. And this PhD program was looking at how communities can be allowed to access some of the plant resources for their livelihoods in the national park.
And probably good to mention, is it fair to say most of the people that live there are utilizing natural resources for their daily lives?
Absolutely. Yeah. Many of the communities living adjacent or around this national park, they rely heavily on the forest for their day-to-day living, water, firewood, medicinal plants, these sorts of resources from nature. So this PhD program was building or coming up with a system that would allow these local communities to be able to access these resources in a sustainable way. And the program is called the Multiple Use Program. and basically demarcating the forest in some zones which would be accessible to communities to access the resources, and others would be strictly for conservation. So I was very fortunate to be part of that program, because it also opened my brain from a trained biologist or scientist to actually looking at how local communities and people live with nature in their backyards and how they access these resources. Yeah, but anyways, back to me. So we arrived in Bwindi in dark, 9 p.m. in the evening. I was taken and I was showed my room, my space where I was going to spend much of my time, just like a small bunker bed. I had a small bag, so I moved in this room. And next day, I was taken out in the forest to help draw transects. Transects basically lying in the forest, and we are counting the number of plant species on that transect, which would be used by the communities.
So fair to say transects basically create a grid and let you map what you're looking at in the forest. Great.
Exactly.
Sure.
It's one of the, I think, one of the standard ways science used to enumerate and count things in the forest. Sure. Okay? So fast forward, after my internship, I got hired to run one of the long-term biodiversity monitoring programs in that forest. And this program was the Tropical Ecology Assessment and Monitoring Network, or TEAM, as we called it.
So assessing biodiversity.
Again, assessing biodiversity. Okay. And TEAM was part of a global network of field stations, including Bwindi. I think there are 17 of them around the tropical regions, some in South America, some in Africa, and some in Southeast Asia. So Bwindi was part of this global network of field stations that was collecting data to help scientists monitor biodiversity in the tropical rainforests of the world for various reasons. One of them was to understand how this magnificent landscapes and ecosystems would be impacted by climate change. So I was really honored to be someone who was leading that work on behalf of Bwindi. At such a young age, I was really excited to take on such a huge responsibility. But also, it meant that was the beginning of the career I'm sharing with you here today.
Yes.
So part of my work, I was supposed to lead a program that was using 12 cameras, and not only to survey the forest of the ground-dwelling mammals or animals and birds that were present within the national park, but also plants and also climate.
Yeah.
So I led on all these three aspects. And the camera trapping, or the trail camera system that I established in the national park, is one that brought that black and white picture of the African golden cat for the first time in this national park. So it was a big deal when this image, and at that time, camera trap technology was just growing. So we used to use these very big, Reconyx RM45 camera traps. They could only take black and white images, really bulky. You could carry I think only 3 or 4 in your backpack. Wow. So we used to hike with them in the forest, find the location, put the camera trap there, go back 30 days, pick the camera trap, go back to the office, look through these thousands of images. And one of the images was for the African golden cat.
Wow.
So then I see this picture of an animal which I didn't know myself.
So you had no idea what it was?
No idea. I had no idea. Just wow, what a fascinating animal this is. So I quickly ran to my colleagues who are more experienced working in the forest. Hey, have you seen this? Have you ever seen this animal before? I'm like, no, we have no idea what this animal is.
These were all your scientific colleagues, had no idea.
No idea. These were field assistants that had worked in the forest for decades. Wow. And some of them, as you mentioned earlier on, these were people who used to go to the forest every day because they are part of the mountain gorilla monitoring program of Bwindi. So these are people who used to spend a lot of their time in the forest, and they had never seen this animal. And I got the picture, I took it into the local communities living adjacent to the national park, and asked them, which animal is this? And they're like, this is Mbaka. Then I was like, what do you mean this is Mbaka? And for us in our mother tongue, we call this animal Mbaka. Then I started building from backwards, from Mbaka to the African golden cat, which is the common English name. So I connected with a couple of colleagues, but then my supervisor, Dr. Douglas Shield, and then I shared that same picture also with my good friend and colleague, Dr. James Sanderson, who's probably the world's expert on small wild cats. So I shared this picture with them, like, see what I've just found in Bwindi. And and the rest is history.
So can you explain what an African golden cat looks like and the size and so on? Because they're not tiny.
No, they are not, and I don't know why they are referred to as small cats. In my opinion, these are not small animals. So they firstly they can weigh up to 15 kilograms.
About 30 pounds, yeah.
That would be like how many pounds?
About 30.
I thought,
yeah, little more.
Right, and they grow up to maybe close to a meter in body length.
Yeah, about 3 feet long.
3 feet long, and then maybe 50 centimeters in body height.
Yeah.
Like 25, what would that be?
Inches.
Inches. Yeah. So that's quite a big animal, right? But in literature, people have described it, all the scientists before me have described it as a small wild cat, and I don't think it's a small animal. And for those who have never heard of the African golden cat, I was personally, as I've already mentioned, I didn't know about the animal till 2010 when I was doing this camera trap survey. So it's a cat maybe double or thrice the size of a domestic cat. Yeah. It comes in three different colors. Scientists call them color morphs. So you have the golden brown, you have the benalistic or the black morph, and also you have the gray morph. And the African golden cat is only restricted in the tropical rainforests of Africa. That a part of Africa covers roughly 21 countries. Maybe you would say half the size of the US. So that's quite a huge range for a species. But I'm sure in the next couple of minutes we'll talk about why, even though the species is widely distributed, why we need to care so much about it.
So I'd like to ask it this way, and I appreciate your description because it was very accurate and it was very scientific. But how about from your heart when you see an African golden cat? Because the photos are stunning.
I know. I didn't think it was a small animal. I didn't. I was like, wow, what a magnificent creature. Just even from the pictures, as you said, like you look at this animal like, I'm like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. And since then, my ambition was to be able to see them in the wild. But I haven't been fortunate to get a chance to see them nicely in the wild.
So how many times have you, how many years have you been studying and conserving African golden cats?
I've been studying and conserving the African golden cat for 15 years now.
So 15 years, and you have seen them in the wild how many times?
3 times.
3 times.
3 times, but... I would like to correct myself all the time because this is not 3 times, like the way you see a real whole animal. It's been 3 times seeing pieces and pieces of the animal. So, like the first time I saw the tail, the second time I saw the foot or the paw, and then I saw the face the third time,
As they were running from you.
Of course, absolutely. Like you lock eyes and immediately they're out in the bush.
They did not understand you are.
I'm trying to see them, and I'm trying.
You are the friend to the
team.
You are the biggest friend they could possibly have. No one has told them that yet.
Exactly. I am on Team African Golden Cat. Just a second, so that I could actually appreciate you.
Yeah.
So 15 years, 3 times. You could arguably, if you put all these pieces together, you could have seen one African Golden Cat.
Fair enough.
For the past 15 years, if that counts.
And amazing. People describe them in amazing ways, like the most elusive cat in the world. Is that fair? Is that true?
I think it is. Absolutely, I think it is. Yeah, it's not. I used to ask myself the same question, like, why is everyone saying this is the Africa's least known, Africa's least understood, Africa's rarest? wild cat species.
Africa's rarest cat. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, no, but it couldn't be, because I was seeing them on camera traps. But the more I've spent time working on this species, the more I've come to realize, this statement is really befitting this species, and partly because, yes, of their natural history, they are super shy, and that's why, the moment you see you back in the bush,
and they're mostly solitary.
And thank you, and they are mostly solitary. So they're not very easy to see, but also they are not a species I'm beginning to believe that are quite abundant in their natural habitat.
So not abundant.
Yeah, I don't think there are very many out there.
So big home ranges?
The home range, we're still trying to figure that out.
Wow.
We're still trying to figure out how much do they occupy in those forests. But in terms of numbers, in terms of how many are there in the wild, we believe there are not very many. This could be different based on where you are across the species range. Yeah. But I have some good examples. Bwindi probably is one of those places where you would argue that has some of the decent numbers of the cats in the habitat, and maybe some parts also in Gabon. Because Gabon is a different part of Africa, 3 million people. So not so many people, and with a very good, forest habitat in this country. Bwindi, the same. It's a small national park, only 321 square kilometers, well protected because of the mountain gorillas. Yes, it's not surprising that you'll get decent detections of the African golden cat on camera traps. But we have colleagues I work with, under the AGCCA, the African Golden Cat Conservation Alliance. And we've been looking all across the species range. And we have a colleague, for instance, from Kenya, just next door. It took her more than 3 years to get the first detection of the African golden cat on her camera trap.
Really?
Yeah. And that was in the Mount Kenya area of Kenya, which we thought this is a very good habitat for the species. But it took her lots of time to finally get her first detection. The same applies to our colleague in Angola, Eduardo. He's been looking for years now, haven't been able to get a single detection. Though Angola is very unique. We keep getting records from the bushmeat markets with the African golden cat, but we can't get to see them in the forest. In their natural habitat. So it's true. I think this statement is true that the species may be really rare in some places. And I think the natural history, being able to give one live birth a year and 70% of that time is just one young, doesn't really help much. But also if you combine that with this widespread destructive hunting that's happening in much of its habitat, it's not surprising that the animal is being described as one of Africa's rarest.
So what I find fascinating is many of the questions about golden cats in the wild or their natural history, there is no answer yet.
Yeah.
And there's no one that knows more about African golden cats than you.
Thank you.
It's true. It's a fact.
Yeah, no, it does, and I appreciate it. It's been a rewarding 15-year journey for me because I've been able to learn, 1 or 2 or 3 things about the African golden cat that other people haven't been able to know or to learn, and there's, as you say, there's still a lot for us to unpack, lots of things for us to learn about the species. We need to learn about the home range sizes. There's some information we know already about the prey, what they eat out there. Yeah. There's still questions of how many are they out there. We are now gathering, some good natural history data coming in from our collaborators that are keeping the African golden cat under human care. They've been so helpful to start, sharing some of this information to us, helping us understand a little bit better the African golden cat. We are getting even basic information on just the body sizes. We didn't really know. Well, there used to be estimates in literature, but now we have solid data that's coming in about this, the body sizes, the size of the paws, the size of the head, and like this very fine scale morphological data which you never used to have. And now you're also getting, data on gestation periods, fecundity rates, all this information that we never used to have in the past. So I've been very fortunate to be part of this movement to, build this body of knowledge on a species that has been described for so long as Africa's least known species.
So you've never seen an entire golden cat in the wild?
Never.
All of these questions still to be answered. There's such a tremendous opportunity to learn and grow. But yet, you've dedicated your entire career, and I suspect fair to say your life,
yes, more or less,
to saving this most elusive, Africa's rarest cat.
Yeah.
That must mean that you are unbelievably patient, because you're not getting the kind of experiences that to see the cat or record behavioral information. That those things are apparently also as rare as the cats.
Yeah.
What keeps you so focused and so motivated? By the way, I admire it completely, but do you know what it is that makes you so committed?
That's a good question.
It's also what makes you so great at what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. No, that's such a good question. And you mentioned the patience. I think I learned very quickly building my career on a species that very many people were certain that I will never see in the wild. So let's begin from there. So there was already a lot of, I won't call it negativity, but there was a lot of advice that, you're a young man, why would you want to build your career on a species that you'll even never be able to collect data on? You'll never be able to see this species in the wild.
Was this colleagues that said this, or family, or who told you that?
Both, actually.
Both.
What I didn't mention, that growing up in Kampala, I also grew up as a black sheep. So we were like,
a black sheep in your family?
Conservation. What is that again?
Wow.
Why would you want to do such? You should be a banker, or you should be a doctor, or you should be, professions we understand. But now, what are you going to do for conservation? But on the other hand, I'm also grateful because it meant that I got a lot of attention from my family, walking a very uncommon path. And every day, as I was learning, I was also teaching my family the things I was learning from the work I was doing. So eventually, they got super interested in what I do. But initially, and I think this is very common to so many kids, when you're growing up and your parents realize you're getting good grades from school, the first profession they recommend to you is being a doctor. Yeah. So my family, for so long, they thought I was going to be a medical doctor because, you're doing very well in the science subjects. You're passing your biology, you're passing your physics and chemistry. You would make a very good doctor. And for me, I was like, I have other plans. I have other plans. Yeah, so it's not something that was appreciated or welcomed at the beginning. But I think they saw the passion, and also making that bold move, to move from the capital to go to one of the remotest parts of the country. They just couldn't understand why anyone would live their good life in the capital to go to a place without running water, without electricity, without internet, without roads, without anything. They just didn't understand why I could make such a career choice. But for me, again, as I said from the beginning, I was very drawn to nature. And I think that's one of the things that have kept me going, even studying or working on a species that I've only seen 3 times in the wild. And also the realization that conservation or even ecology, being able to put together and build a body of knowledge about a species, it's not something you would do in 1 year or 2 or 3 years. It's a lifetime commitment because every day you're learning something new. And I can tell you that for the past 15 years, every day has been a learning opportunity for me about the African golden cat. So there's been There's a lot of passion, I think, but also patience, as you said, because 15 years, working on these pieces, and there's some questions that people pose to me, and I just said, I have no answer for you. I really don't know.
Yet.
I really trying to learn more and more, but unfortunately, I haven't really figured that out.
Yeah.
And I'm working on gathering that information. So there is the patience, just knowing and just being aware that some of these questions will take a long time to find answers to them. And also there's been a lot of perseverance. It hasn't been an easy journey, especially if you decide to build your career on a species that people don't even know. And the work we need, both in conserving the species, but also in just doing basic ecological research, needs money. You need to buy the equipment. You need to get people on board to support the work you do. And it was really tricky, very tricky for me. People were like, no, we don't know this animal. Why should we invest in an animal we don't know? We would like to put our money on lions or leopards or tigers or jaguars.
Yeah.
All the snow leopards, the big cats. But this small cat, we don't think this is a very good investment for us. So I tried a lot generating funding for a species. And fair enough, it's very easy for someone to love and appreciate something they know than something they don't know. So I didn't take that personal whatsoever. I just understood where these people are coming from. The species is there's nothing much known about the species. Why should they invest their resources in the species? So, and also working in the areas where I've been working, if you think about Bwindi, very remote, the terrain is super rugged. It's really, really tough field work in Bwindi. If you have never been, don't let the beauty deceive you. Once you get on those hills, it's nasty. It's really nasty. So climbing those hills for all these years, putting the cameras out, trying to get as much data as we can, alongside also doing a lot of fundraising for the species. There's been a lot of perseverance. So to answer your question, normally I like to summarize, that bit of my story in 3 Ps: passion, patience, perseverance. And I think those 3 have kept me going for all this long.
I think we'd like to switch, and in our next segment, start talking about the successes you've had and continue to have in golden cat conservation. And even though there are challenges for sure, it's undeniable that you're having big successes. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with our second episode with Mwezi Badru Mugerwa, the Ugandan conservationist, dedicated and passionate person for African golden cats, and also the recipient of the 2025 Indianapolis Prize Emerging Conservationist Award. Kristi, we're going to take a break, and we will be back to talk more.
Thanks.
I am sad that we have to stop right now, but we have the next episode coming up, and that episode will include some very interesting information about what we call, what's he call it? Seed bank?
Seed banks.
I never heard of a seed bank before.
Seed banks, it's a great
thing. So we're
thing.
going to talk about that. And Smiles for Conservation, which is a very interesting program that his wife actually started with Mwezi, and we're going to hear about that as well. So we invite you to stick around for episode 2. I know you just enjoyed that wonderful conversation with Mwezi and learned so much about the African golden cat, and we're going to learn even more.
It's awesome. And I'm just going to take a second. Remember, you can find us, of course, on any streaming platform, but also everything's on YouTube. You can find it there, not the videos, just the audio. And look for us on TikTok and Instagram under Worth Your Time. Look, if you want to see Mwezi's smile, which is one of the greatest smiles of all smiles, you'll be able to see some video of him on TikTok and YouTube. And the one thing, TikTok and Instagram, not YouTube. And the thing that you won't see, I don't think, is that his... Wait, we got to cut it there because I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
So I'll just do one more time.
Well, I was going to tag it with his website too.
Okay, great. Don't forget, you can also hear us on YouTube. All of our podcasts are posted on YouTube. Great videos on TikTok and Instagram. And if you want to find more,
Mbaka.org.
Mbaka.
Embaka.
Embaka.
Yeah, is that what I said?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you said A. I thought you said A.
Okay.
I thought you said A.
Sorry.
Mbaka.
Mbaka.org, O-R-G.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Great website. Stick around for episode 2.
You've been listening to Worth Your Time with Dr. Rob Shumaker and Kristi Lee. If you like what you hear, please give a review wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best compliment. Thanks to our producers, Chris Spangle of Leaders and Legends, LLC. You can reach him at leadersandlegends.net. Also, thanks to Sophie Ritz. I'm Christopher Geisen. Thanks for joining us.